Hey guys, my name is Miranda. Today I'm here to discuss episode 2 of Dimension 20's Mentopolis, and this was such a wild episode, guys, and it was only episode 2. I think they said there's going to be 6 episodes, which means like this is like a third of the way through, right, if my math is correct on this, but there was so much that happened in this episode. Obviously, so many clues as to what's going on in the heart of Mentopolis, or the brain, I guess. That's actually... Let's not think about that too hard because that's actually really trippy. But they even touched upon this in the adventuring party about how it's so interesting of like, you're trying to figure out what exactly has happened with the big guy, Elias, right? Things are happening. We find out that I think the collapsing highway tunnel was something like with the the lobe shutting down, like his eyes were closed basically, and the mayor was like, this was a planned thing, but like I immediately was like, okay, so the man's unconscious, that's not good. So there's all that going on, but then there's like this congruent story. Is congruent the right word? Tangential? There's this same story at the same time, but like the murder of Neurological, or however you say his name to me, Neurological, because like we had already established in the last episode that for all seemingly appearances, he was just someone that was caught up at the wrong time, although we do know he has some connection to like going down to the red light district and all that, so it could be that maybe he just blabbed his mouth about something. We do know now more about the key that we saw Imelda reveal in the last episode, and how that could kind of connect to either someone, I think, either breaking the keyhole so you can't do that now anymore, or someone trying to like jam it themselves and like try and pick it, and then maybe that ended up like exploding it or something like that. Like I could feel like the two different reasons, even though right now I'm leaning more towards someone trying to stop Imelda or someone like that from being able to use it again, since this impulsive thing was what kind of has set this whole thing in motion. It seems like I totally misread the file thing. I thought like they put the file on the desk and like that was all their hard work, and like once the bosses got it, it was either like yes or no, like it was like this giant thing. So I thought they were trying to find the file. I didn't realize Imelda had already taken the file, and that like now Elias is kind of seeing what Conrad Shintz, who I also did not put together that was consciousness last time. I saw someone say that and I was like, oh, I think it's because I kept calling him Conrad Shits, like Schitt's Creek, and it's Shintz, like Conrad Shins. So he's the consciousness, we found out, and he's very tiny, he's underdeveloped, he should be, as they've said, a full-grown adult by now, and yet he's stuck in this age of when Elias kind of learned that, you know, there's a lot of guilt and shame surrounding his consciousness and making the right choices because it has gotten him hurt in the past, and like, oh, the meta-ness of this is just like, I can't. Everything we found out too about how like there's like this fight or flight response that's happening. So like last episode we learned that like oxytocin, like basically any pleasure thing is like banned, and now we've got tons of adrenaline coming in. But at the same time, and this is what makes me wonder like what the heck is going on in this city, the pain receptors from the brain are being like shut down by the police and like silenced. And I'm like, wait, if you're dying, because that's what it seems like, right? If you're dying, why is like the mayor trying, like I know obviously why, because like every mayor and everything of like this is always like, no, don't panic, don't want to like cause a scene, but I'm like, this is the biggest scene. Like if this guy dies, they're all dead. So I don't understand how like they're trying to cover this up, I guess not to cause a panic, because obviously like they said they do kind of have more time. It's like something happens to Elias and they've got like the time of thought, so it's like they've got more time to figure stuff out. But I was just so shocked that like the mayor is trying to cover that up, even though I guess I shouldn't be, right? Mayor's gonna be bad guys, I guess, right? That was so scary, that whole scene of like the one pain receptor left that was like, we're in pain. And like that was like the whole message of just like there's a lot of pain coming from the scalp, and I was like, that's terrifying. He got whacked like on the back of the head, and that's really not good. So that was whole scary. I really actually liked splitting the party too. I don't normally like those, and when they suggested it, I was like, ugh, especially because we had all just gotten them together after kind of having their separate storylines in the first episode. But I think it worked really good because I feel like you're getting something from each of them, and normally I feel like when you do split the party, I'm just like, you know, favoritism, invested in one story over the other. But I feel like they all had something very interesting to bring. I feel like their characters do different things, obviously because of what they represent for who a person is. So I feel like pairing them up makes it also very interesting, because depending on who you're paired with can kind of change the story or change how a character acts from one person to another. So we had, first of all, A Tension. She was paired up with Dan, Mr. I'm just gonna call him Mr. F for propriety's sake, if that's okay. But they were teamed up together, and I really like that because it was like he could cause the distraction while she went and investigated everything. And that was when we found out the horrifying detail about the pain coming from the scalp. And not only that, but that the pain receptors that had arrived in the city had been brutally beaten by the cops, and that they're trying to cover this up and stuff. And then we also got, was his name Winston? Wilton? I don't really like to think too much about him, honestly, because it just makes you sad. But there's definitely something with that where it's going to be more than a one-off. Like, I know Brennan came up with the character right then and there, but I feel like there's definitely something with this buzzing near the privates part or something. I know people have like theorized it could be a phone or something like that. I really don't know what else it could be, but I keep forgetting that like they work in like a, like Elias is like this like retro future world though, where there's like other kind of technology that is being developed and stuff like that. So who the frick knows? It could be, like they said, little Spider-Man web shoots that he's about to save himself with. Hunch and Imelda's was also really cool. I just love Hunch's whole thing about trying to convince that one guy that he was a student, and that's where like he's like, this is the hill I'm going to die on. Like, that was the one. But then also learning from Imelda about, we finally got this file and everything. I did love the librarian too, while she's like, we only ask that you bring it back Wednesday and put something weird in it. Like, I just love that, but I'm also like, you're telling Impulse to like add something fun to it. Like, that's a dangerous slope. I love like the little glimpses you get of how Elias has this like childlike fun amusement wonder, but it's been so tamped down and controlled by like the other things in charge. But it's just fun to see that. And I also like that that's kind of like how they were explaining like how memories get changed and stuff like that, is like someone else takes them out and like rips on it or changes something. I just thought that was like a really fun thing to be like, why memories are different, of like someone's checking them out and changing them a little, you know, just a fun little weird thing. And then obviously Conrad and the Fix, that relationship, that whole relationship I think is so wonderfully beautiful for so many reasons. I think of like that, also like that obviously childlike with Conrad, and then this like stern adult who follows authority, never really questioned it in the Fix. And I also just love how Conrad reacts to the Fix, of like anytime the Fix is like, I'm not gonna kill you, Conrad's like, okay, like it's just so funny. And I really love too the thing where Conrad was basically saying like, I don't deserve to like be listened to or heard, and like that's why I don't deserve like, you know, anything real. Like, that's why they ordered like coffee grinds. They never want to like make anyone like have to work for them because they don't feel like they deserve it. And the Fix was like, I think we should change that. Like, I think you do deserve it. And Conrad was just like, okay. Like, just so like, it was so cute. And I just love that whole relationship, and how it's someone who like the consciousness is so underdeveloped and full of shame and guilt, and the Fix is someone who has been so focused on this one job for so long, of getting rid of distractions and, you know, focusing on the single mind and doing what he's told and everything like that. And then he meets this person who their whole entire being is just kind of keeping these things alive that they think are important to who Elias is, and that like not everyone's gonna remember, at least the conscience in this should remember. And I just think their whole relationship, like the way it's gonna develop, is so beautiful. And like the thought of like Conrad like growing into like an adult like makes me sad, because I love him as a little boy. But I feel like that's what has to happen, right? Like, he has to realize that, like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be full of shame and guilt. And Elias should listen, and you should be loud, and he should listen to you more often. And I just think that is going to be such a great whole arc. And especially, like, could you imagine, like, if the Fix, like, sacrificed himself for Conrad? Oh, I could not. And we also get to see not only, like, the Fix using his terrifying science facts to terrify someone, but also to uplift Conrad, which I thought was really sweet. The whole thing about the butterfly, how the tail falls off so the butterfly can survive, and he's like, you're not the tail, you're the butterfly. I thought that was really, really sweet, especially when juxtaposed with the later one where he was like threatening that goon, and he was like, did you know more than half the bones in your body are in your hands and feet? Which I'm like, yeah, horrifying fact, horrifying fact. Someone's holding you like that and is like, do you know more than half the bones in your body are in your hands and feet? I'd be like, okay, yeah. It's like just how Brennan reacted, where it's just like, I'm just gonna break every bone in my body so you can't touch me, and just disappear. I love the Fix so much. Conrad's definitely my favorite character right now, but I also really, really love the Fix. And I just think seeing that whole thing of how they're defending Conrad, all of them, I think is really, really sweet and cute. As much as even like Dan hates Conrad, I love that that's his nemesis, but like they're still on this. And again, I said this in the last one, I do think this is like a more elevated version of Mice and Murder. Like, I feel like of Mice and Murder was just kind of, I think because it was like a locked door mystery in a way, right? Of like you knew it was someone around here probably, so I feel like you were kind of always on edge, and I feel like story-wise you had to drop particular clues to really get it. I feel like with this one, and I feel like the system is also more set up to it, kind of, they talked about that, how like you get rewards based on certain things, and like, you know, I feel like there's like more that you can kind of offer of like, okay, maybe you didn't get like this clue, but I can give you like this one. So I feel like the system in general just kind of provides that mystery aspect more, because you can see where it's like you can roll for different stuff, and your strengths and weaknesses I think matter more, and you can like find out more, if that makes sense. Like I just think it's more of a streamlined system to get like clues and stuff like that, and I feel like it makes it more interesting. So like even if you roll low, you're still kind of learning something in a way, and I just think it to me it's just like, because I feel like maybe we haven't met the person who's behind all this, or like because there's like multiple layers to it, I think it's just more free-flowing, and I feel like the players have a little bit more control, it seems, of the storyline, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm terrified of the ending. I loved how they did the like whole projection thing, and immediately like I feel like anyone who grew up on Tumblr in 2013, 2012 is gonna be like, defenestration! Like just seeing someone get pushed out of a building. I did see a theory that said he jumped, but I don't know. I feel like maybe to get away from someone, but I think they pushed him out of a building. I don't know how we're gonna get out of this one, buds. Like, it's a pretty heavy one just to see that, and I know again they have time because it's not like, oh, it's instantly gonna happen. Like, they have time to react to this, but I don't know what they're gonna do, like I said. So he's falling out of building, it seems like, and pretty high up. So that was terrifying, that ending. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. And I know we kind of saw, like, in the trailer, like, Brendan being like, for the first time, like, you guys see what the big guy sees. And I think just because of the way the trailer is made, and because that seems so impactful and so different from, like, the rest of what we had been seeing, which was, like, inside the brain, I thought that was gonna be, like, a, like, episode 4, episode 5 thing, maybe even episode 6. So to get it at the end of episode 2, I'm like, where does this go from here? And it's crazy because it's like, yeah, again, you're trying to solve this mystery of like keeping Elias alive and like what's happening with Elias, but then also this mystery of like someone trying to kind of suppress and keep this on the down low in the city, even as like the sky is literally falling, like things are breaking, people are running out, the cops are trying to like cover up things, and it's just such a huge mess. It's such a huge mess, and like I just can't believe that we're already at this point in episode 2, so I have no idea where it's gonna go from here. But yeah, it is amazing. That ending was so shocking, and it's amazing that like it's this like jaunty, fun little mystery, right, set in the brain of someone, and yet I felt a chill down my spine at the whole scene of finding out like the scalp was in pain. Like, that's probably the most terrified I've ever felt during any Dimension 20 season. Like, they said that and I was just like, oh crap. So credit to them, kudos. I am so excited to see what they have more in store for this, and I just cannot wait to see how it develops. So yeah, if you have seen this episode, please feel free to leave your thoughts and your new theories, your reactions to everything down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!